I just got out of the theater from watching Karate Kid Legends, the brand new addition to the Karate Kid franchise. And I'm gonna just give it to you real straight. This movie has a lot of good, some of not so good. And at the end of the day, I'm glad I went to go see this. Now, it started way back when they first announced this movie. I was really excited. I mean, the Karate Kid movies are movies that I grew up with. I love those movies. The fourth one is the fourth one's okay, but those original three and following that storyline with Mr. Miyagi and Daniel LaRusso is absolutely legendary. And I loved those movies growing up. I love them to this day. And then when we got the Cobra Kai show, that was just a unbelievably enjoyable trip to be on with those characters and in that world again with some of the legendary characters that popped up throughout the series. And it was a good time to stay in that world. And so I was excited to get a brand new movie in this universe and in this franchise. And I'm not gonna lie to you, for a moment I was a bit nervous. There were a lot of leaks and rumors coming about when it comes to this movie, and some of them I didn't like there was a rumor really early on that the premise was gonna be a kid who does karate and would be teaching an adult who needs to learn to defend himself. And I didn't like that, because if that was the case, then you should have named the movie Karate Adult, not Karate Kid. And from then on, we got more rumors and details about the plot. Then we got the trailers, and the trailers did a whole bunch to raise my hype and expectations for this movie. Fast forwarding to just a week before this movie comes out, we got a whole bunch of critic reviews kind of negative about this movie, calling it formulaic, saying you know what to expect, that there was characters wasted in this movie. And while I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that there is no truth to those remarks, we're gonna get into why I feel a little bit differently and why I feel like this is a dub for the franchise. So getting into the things that I did like about this movie. First of all, this was an awesome cast to have put together. From our main lead, who plays this very innocent, very traumatized and humbled kid who just loves to do karate, or kung fu rather, is being taught by Mr. Han. He is played so well. Ben Wang does an absolutely amazing job at portraying this character and really committing to the role. Me personally, I have not seen him in any other projects, so it was seeing an unknown for me. I wasn't too sure how he was going to come off, if he was going to be worthy of the Karate Kid mantle. And after this movie, I think that he is, and he fits right alongside people like Daniel LaRusso, Jaden Smith's Chowdre, Robbie Keane, Miguel Diaz, who, you know, I feel is kind of a lineage of Karate Kids now at this point, but it just really shows the hard work that he put in. I had a good time with this character. He does a phenomenal job. Sadie Stanley as Mia, the love interest really for this movie. I didn't hate her. She just wasn't so much interesting as she was just there to be another person in Ben Wang's corner. Ming-Na Wen was absolutely fantastic. She doesn't have much to do in this movie, but when her lines do come up to that screen, I mean, it's Ming-Na Wen. She performs. She does what she's supposed to do, and she does a very good job of playing this concerned mother, as any mother would probably be in these kind of situation. Joshua Jackson, who plays one of the adults that is kind of in Ben Wang's life and the father to Sadie Stanley's character, was absolutely an enjoyable time. He actually reminded me a lot of Jack Quaid in his humor, his wittiness, and just the way that he looked. But he was absolutely part of the comedy relief that was in this movie, and he did a great job. The way that they executed that subplot, I thought it was dope. It worked out well, especially because that character is such a likable character anyway. It helped to ease that little plot being in there. But I mean, the story of that in itself worked really well. And now when it comes to Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, I mean, it's always good to see the legends. I do think that Ralph Macchio was a little bit underutilized in this movie. We didn't get too much of him, but him as a pairing with Jackie Chan was just pure comedy. Jackie Chan is funny as all hell, as he always has been. And Ralph Macchio, well, Daniel LaRusso as a character, you can see has really opened up even more to the idea of teaching Miyagi-Do and Miyagi karate to people who need it. I still kind of run across the problem with Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio, as I did in the Cobra Kai show. And in the Cobra Kai show, it kind of felt like Ralph Macchio was just kind of playing Ralph Macchio. He doesn't feel so much like Daniel LaRusso, like that kid anymore. I still kind of have that issue here in this movie. He feels more in line with his character throughout the Cobra Kai series than the original Karate Kid films. But at this point, it's not something that bothers me. It's not bad acting. It doesn't really take me out of it. I just kind of have accepted that Daniel LaRusso is kind of more so of this older businessman now than he is a Karate Kid. But him together with Jackie Chan and Mr. Han just being so funny. Like he's hilarious, man. And the different ways that they end up training our main lead Lee was absolutely fun to see. And I had a really good time watching them come together and do their different techniques. It's kung fu meets karate, and they mesh it together, and the way that they do it was enjoyable. The montages were fun. It was just a decent pairing that I didn't know that we needed in this franchise, but we absolutely needed it. Leaving the cast behind, the fight choreography was actually a lot of fun in this movie. And I feel like we kind of knew that based off of the trailers that we got. It seems like they were kind of up in the stakes a bit. The moves were getting more complicated, more line work being done in this movie, and it pays off. It pays off. A lot of the flips and the tricks and kind of the flashiness that they bring to this movie with their choreography was really fun to see. Not something that we got too much in Cobra Kai, although you could definitely see that it was getting there and they were trying to up the stakes. As far as fighting goes, I kind of compare Cobra Kai and this movie to the original Star Wars trilogy and the lightsaber fighting versus the prequel. You know, in the original Karate Kid, the fighting was a little bit more simple, not as flashy, more getting straight to the point. Whereas in this movie, there is that flashiness, there is that pizzazz a little bit in these fight tricks that these kids are doing. And it worked really well. It was enjoyable to watch, to see them doing all these flips and stuff and kicking people in the head, jumping off a wall. And it was really cool to see. They did a really good job with the fight choreography. You can also see that Jackie Chan probably had a big helping hand when it comes to fight choreography in this movie. It's very exaggerated, classic kung fu film style. And there were times when Li Fong, our main lead, was fighting that he was doing just similar faces and movement styles that Jackie Chan used to do in his old movies. It was really enjoyable. I like that exaggerated kung fu feel. They did a lot of that in Cobra Kai, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of upped my enjoyment of that show. So my hats to go off to them, because it was a lot of fun to see them kind of get after it and do all these crazy moves. Talking a little bit more so just about the story itself, this is kind of where I'll transition off into stuff that I didn't like, because there are things about the story that I didn't think worked as well. I think that the beginning and the middle, maybe like the first two acts of the movie, were really done well. It is very formulaic. It does kind of follow the same tropes, I feel, as the very first Karate Kid movie. A new kid moves to a new area, gets involved with some girl whose ex happens to be kind of a jerk, and because our lead is spending time with this girl, now he's getting a little bit mad, a little bit jealous, wants to beat him up. Very formulaic, but very well within the mythos of the Karate Kid movies. And personally, for me, I liked that. I didn't think that they needed to change much. Like I said in the beginning of this video, a lot of the critic reviews were saying that to be negative, that the formula that they were using is just a copy paste. And while I understand why some people might be upset with that, the Karate Kid movies are films that I never really looked at as being this overly complicated story or this brilliant cinematic masterpiece. Now, they are good movies. They are great movies. I love them, but I also kind of love them for their simplicity, for just telling a straightforward story of not giving up and pushing forward when you feel you've been knocked as far down as you can go. And I just thought that if they followed that, it'd be fine. I'm not really tripping off that, you know? And so for a little bit, it did the formula stuff until Mr. Han comes and things do change. I do feel that in the third act is where the pacing kind of began to get a little wonky, moving very fast, not letting a lot of scenes breathe. A lot of the emotional moments, there was this upbeat music kind of playing slightly in the background, and it kind of took me out of the emotional element of it, and quickly moving to the next scene, not really allowing for the emotion to kind of hit or kind of breathe a little bit. So I do feel that that third act kind of not messed up the movie, but really altered the pacing and how things were going, and enough to where it was pretty noticeable. The runtime was about 2 hours, but it honestly felt a lot longer, and there were a whole lot of subplots to kind of tie up. So it kind of feels like once we got to that third act, it was kind of rushed a little bit to kind of hurry up and get there, because we had so much to close up before the big finale of the movie. Another issue that I had, even though I said that I did enjoy the fighting choreography, I do wish that we spent a little bit more time with the fight scenes, seeing them done. There's a lot of moments, just like the pacing of the movie, where the fighting is done really fast or really close-up camera views where you don't really see some of the moves really executed, which is kind of a shame, because like I said, I did like the choreography. They were doing their thing with the flashiness of it. I just wish that we got to sit a little bit longer with the fight scenes and kind of get a little bit more invested into them and not think of it as just something we need to get past to keep the story going. There were also a couple moments that the CGI looked very obvious, mainly in that last fight. If you've seen the movie and know what I'm talking about, when we have our main lead and our main antagonist, who, by the way, but our main antagonist was pretty dope. I think he was a good villain of the movie and played this aggressive fighter, almost Johnny Lawrence style, but way more serious. He played it really well. So I enjoyed his portrayal of this character. But in the last fight, there's a couple moments where they do some heavy CGI and you can really see it. And for a minute, I'm not gonna lie, it did kind of take me out of the moment and I kind of laughed it off a little bit. But nonetheless, it didn't kill the movie or anything for me. Lastly, I think another kind of fault of the movie is, how I said before, the underutilization of Daniel LaRusso. This movie was heavily marketed to show off that they were bringing Mr. Han and Daniel LaRusso together, and in a way, not as bad, but in a way, I feel like they almost kind of did the Brave New World Captain America thing with the Red Hulk, where you really don't get to see these two legends together until the back end of the film. And then that's kind of where I feel things start being rushed, start moving really fast, and we don't really get a lot of time spent with these characters. Now that could just be because we really don't need to, I suppose. We got a whole 6 seasons of Daniel LaRusso doing his thing. So I think we have a pretty good idea of that character and him being fleshed out as much as he can. But when it came to the training sequences, like everything else, it felt a little bit rushed and the pace was off. So we didn't really get a lot of moments with Daniel and Mr. Han. Even though Mr. Han got a lot more screen time than Daniel LaRusso, this is his student at the end of the day. So that tracks and it makes sense. But I just do wish that we got a little bit more time to sit with Daniel LaRusso and kind of know what's going on with him and his side of things. This is 2 years after the finale of Cobra Kai. So, you know, things have happened. At the end of the day, I do think that the team that put this together does understand Karate Kid, does understand and love those characters and this legacy that has been built. And they did a decent job with the execution. I think that some of the critic reviews might have been a little bit too harsh on this movie. It's not a cinematic masterpiece, but it's by no means a horrible movie. I could give this movie a decent 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. It was enjoyable. I had a good time with it. It'll be a movie that I watch again for sure. Just maybe not in theaters. I do appreciate in the beginning of the movie, they did tie in Mr. Miyagi and kind of give him his flowers again, and also kind of explained a little bit of Miyagi background and ancestry when it comes to how Miyagi-Do was formed and the combination of Kung Fu and Karate and that coming together. That was done really well. I enjoyed that. So if you are a Karate Kid fan, I definitely think you will have a good time in theaters if you go and check this out. If you're not and kind of just casually involved in the franchise, you can maybe wait until this goes to streaming. But at the end of the day, I had a good time with it, and I think you will too. So that is all I got for you when it comes to Karate Kid Legends. I appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. If you stayed into the end, make sure you hit that like button. It helps get this video out to more people, and I really appreciate that, so thank you. Also, consider subscribing to the channel. That way you don't miss any future content that gets put out and you get updated. Stay in the loop, man. We talk here. But I do appreciate you guys. Y'all know how this goes, man. I am out of here. Y'all be smooth and stay geeked up.